Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support me. The spaceship Orion's quest cut through the endless night of space, its hull glinting under the distant light of unfamiliar stars. Within its walls, a team of 4 prepared for the mission that had captured the imagination of the entire human race. The discovery of Dream Star, a planet bathed in mysterious, unknown energy, had ignited a firestorm of speculation, and these 4 had been chosen to venture into the unknown. Dr. Elena Rios stood by the observation window, her eyes fixed on the swirling mass of colors that was Dream Star. As a xenobiologist, she had seen her share of strange worlds, but nothing like this. The planet seemed to pulse with a life of its own, its atmosphere a shifting kaleidoscope of hues that defied logic. But it wasn't the colors that unsettled her, it was the sense of being watched, as if the planet itself was aware of their approach. Captain Marcus Vance, the leader of the expedition, entered the room, breaking Elena's reverie. His presence was commanding, his voice steady, but there was a haunted look in his eyes that never quite went away. He had been through hell in the past, leading missions that had ended in disaster. This was supposed to be his redemption, but as they neared Dream Star, the weight of the past seemed to grow heavier. Ready for the descent? Vance asked, his tone casual, but Elena could sense the tension beneath. As ready as I'll ever be, she replied, tearing her gaze away from the planet. There's something about this place, it feels alive. Vance nodded. We've all felt it. But that's why we're here, to figure out what's going on down there. The rest of the team joined them in the command center. Dr. Li Wei, a quantum physicist with an insatiable curiosity for the unknown, and Zara Kane, the security specialist whose sharp instincts had saved many a mission from going south. They were a diverse group, brought together by their skills and their willingness to face the dangers that Dream Star promised. The descent to the planet's surface was smooth, the Orion's quest gliding through the atmosphere with practiced ease. But as they broke through the cloud layer, the landscape that unfolded below was anything but ordinary. Floating islands drifted above shimmering seas, the ground below a patchwork of vibrant colors that seemed to shift and change as they watched. This place is incredible, Li Wei murmured, his eyes wide with wonder. It's like nothing I've ever seen. Zara, ever the pragmatist, scanned the horizon with a wary eye. Incredible or not, we need to stay alert. We don't know what's out there. They set up base camp on one of the larger islands, its surface covered in soft, moss-like vegetation that glowed faintly in the twilight. The air was thick with a sweet, floral scent, and there was a constant hum, like the planet itself was alive with energy. As night fell, the team gathered around the central console, reviewing the data they had collected so far. The planet's atmosphere was rich with an unknown energy, unlike anything they had encountered before. It was both exhilarating and unsettling. We need to be careful, Elena said, her voice cutting through the chatter. This energy, it's not just a resource. It's affecting us, somehow. I've been feeling off ever since we landed. Vance looked at her sharply. Off how? Elena hesitated. It's hard to explain. It's like something is probing my mind, trying to get in. Li Wei frowned. You're not the only one. I've been experiencing something similar, strange thoughts, images that don't make sense. It's like the planet is communicating with us, but not in a way we can understand. Zara, who had been silent up until now, spoke up. I've been having nightmares. But I'm awake. I see things that aren't real, but they feel real. The group fell silent, the weight of their experiences settling heavily over them. They were scientists, adventurers, explorers, used to the unknown. But this was different. Dream Star was not just an alien world, it was a mystery that threatened to unravel their very minds. The next day, they ventured further into the planet's interior, guided by the strange energy readings that seemed to pulse from a central location deep within the landscape. The terrain grew increasingly bizarre, the flora and fauna more alien, as if Dream Star was a living dream, constantly shifting and reshaping itself. It wasn't long before the hallucinations began in earnest. Elena was the first to experience it. As they crossed a narrow bridge of light that arched over a bottomless chasm, she suddenly found herself standing in the middle of a dense jungle, the sounds of distant birds and rustling leaves filling her ears. She knew it wasn't real. She was still on the bridge, the team's voices echoing in the distance, but the illusion was so vivid, so immersive, that it felt like she had been transported back to Earth, to a time long before she had ever dreamed of exploring the stars. A child's laughter rang out from somewhere nearby, and Elena's heart seized. She recognized that sound. It was the laughter of her daughter, taken from her too soon by an illness that even advanced medicine couldn't cure. The jungle around her shifted, and she saw the child, running through the trees, her dark hair flying behind her. Elena, focus. Vance's voice cut through the illusion, sharp and urgent. Elena blinked, the jungle dissolving around her, replaced by the stark reality of the bridge. Her daughter's laughter faded into the wind, leaving her trembling. "I'm here," she whispered, her voice shaky. "I'm okay." But she wasn't. None of them were. As they pressed on, each member of the team faced their own personal nightmares, conjured by the planet's strange energy. Vance relived the moment his previous crew had been lost to a black hole, their screams echoing in his mind. Li Wei found himself trapped in a void, his greatest fear of being forgotten by the universe manifesting in the emptiness around him. Zara was stalked by shadows that took the form of her fallen comrades, their accusing eyes piercing through her defenses. The physical environment grew more hostile as well. Alien creatures emerged from the mist, their forms twisted and grotesque, as if born from the darkest corners of their subconscious. The team fought them off, their training and technology keeping them alive, but the mental toll was beginning to show. They were not just battling the creatures, they were battling their own minds, each encounter leaving them more drained, more uncertain of what was real. By the time they reached the source of the energy, they were exhausted, both physically and mentally. But what they found there was beyond anything they could have imagined. A massive structure rose from the ground, its surface smooth and reflective, like liquid metal. It was ancient, clearly built by a civilization far more advanced than humanity, but it was still functional, humming with the same energy that permeated the planet. At its center was a glowing orb, pulsating with a rhythm that seemed to sync with their heartbeats. This is it," Li Wei whispered, his voice filled with awe. "This is the source of the energy." Elena approached the orb cautiously, her scientific curiosity battling with the fear that had taken root in her mind. "It's incredible. This energy, it's not just power. It's alive, in a way. It's reacting to us." Vance frowned. "Reacting how?" "It's feeding off our emotions, our fears. That's why we've been experiencing those hallucinations. The energy is amplifying our thoughts, turning them into reality." Zara, who had been scanning the structure, looked up sharply. "If that's true, then we're in more danger than we thought. If this thing can turn our fears into reality, what happens if we try to take it?" Elena's heart raced as the implications sank in. The energy could be the key to untold technological advancements, but it was also a weapon that could turn on them at any moment. "We have to try," Vance said firmly. "We didn't come all this way to leave empty-handed. This energy could change the future of humanity. We need to take it back with us." But the planet had other plans. As soon as they began the extraction process, the orb flared with a blinding light, and the ground beneath them trembled. The structure around them began to shift, the smooth metal surface rippling like water. The planet was reacting, defending itself from their intrusion. Suddenly, the air was filled with a deafening roar as the ground split open, and a massive creature emerged from the depths. It was a monstrosity, a fusion of all their fears made flesh, its body a shifting mass of darkness, its eyes glowing with malevolent intelligence. "Fall back!" Vance shouted, but it was too late. The creature lunged at them, its form twisting and reshaping itself to match their every move. Elena felt a wave of terror wash over her, but she forced herself to stay focused. This was the planet's final defense, a manifestation of their worst fears, brought to life by the very energy they sought to harness. "We can't fight it head-on," Li Wei yelled, his voice barely audible over the chaos. "We have to neutralize the energy source." But even as he spoke, the creature lashed out, striking him with a tendril of darkness. Li Wei crumpled to the ground, his body convulsing as the energy coursed through him, amplifying his fear until it overwhelmed him completely. "No!" Elena screamed, rushing to his side, but it was too late. Li Wei was gone, his mind shattered by the creature's assault. Vance and Zara fought valiantly, their weapons blazing as they tried to keep the creature at bay, but it was a losing battle. The creature was too powerful, its form constantly shifting to exploit their weaknesses. In that moment, Vance made a decision. He had seen this play out before, the desperation, the fight for survival against impossible odds. He had lost his crew once, and he wasn't about to lose them again. "Elena, Zara, get to the ship," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos. "I'll hold it off." Zara looked at him in shock. "You can't, that's an order." Vance snapped. "Get out of here, now." Elena hesitated, her heart breaking at the thought of leaving him behind, but she knew there was no other choice. Vance had made up his mind, and there was no time to argue. "Come on," she urged Zara, grabbing her arm and pulling her towards the exit. "We have to go." They ran, the sounds of battle echoing behind them as Vance fought the creature with everything he had. As they reached the ship, Elena glanced back one last time, just in time to see the creature engulf Vance in a wave of darkness. The Orion's quest lifted off, its engines roaring as it ascended into the sky. Elena and Zara watched in silence as the planet below shrank into the distance, the weight of their losses heavy on their shoulders. When they finally returned to Earth, they were hailed as heroes. The energy sample they had retrieved was studied and analyzed, its potential for technological advancement staggering. But for Elena and Zara, the victory was hollow. They had brought back a piece of Dream Star, but they had left behind a part of themselves. In the years that followed, humanity made incredible strides, harnessing the energy from Dream Star to revolutionize everything from transportation to medicine. But the cost was high. The energy was unpredictable, its effects on the human mind still not fully understood. There were rumors of scientists driven mad by their work, of entire labs consumed by hallucinations, and then there was the orb. It was kept in a secure lab, under constant surveillance, but there was always an unease around it. Sometimes, late at night, the scientists who studied it swore they could hear voices, whispers of the past, of those who had been lost. Elena visited the lab once, years after the mission. She stood before the orb, watching as it pulsed with that same eerie light, and she felt the familiar tug of fear. But she also felt something else, an understanding, a connection to the planet that had tested them in ways they could never have imagined. "We took something from you," she murmured, her voice barely audible in the stillness of the lab. "But you took something from us, too." As she turned to leave, she thought she heard a faint whisper, a voice from the past, but when she looked back, the lab was silent, the orb glowing faintly in the darkness. The story of Dream Star became legend, a tale of courage and sacrifice, of the dangers that lurk in the unknown. But for those who had been there, who had faced the planet's challenges and survived, it was more than just a story. It was a reminder of the thin line between discovery and destruction, between hope and fear, and as humanity continued to explore the stars, they did so with a new understanding, that some mysteries were meant to be left unsolved, and that some dreams were too dangerous to chase.